सर साइबर सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप रे पके देबी अगेन सर स्लो एयरलाइन
So with this, we have come to the end of this last day session. Thank you for sincerely. लगा दिया ना? Our participants are there in online. Security of the storage system. Okay, so for security of the storage system, shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For security of the storage system, we must understand how the storage system works, basically. And what is the storage system? What is a storage system? A storage system is either a file level or a block level computer data storage server connected to the computer network, providing data access to various clients or group of clients. Storage can be broadly classified into two categories called storage area network and network attached storage. Now, basically, the difference between computer server and a storage is that, first of all, storage has got a huge data storage capacity. This is number one. And the second and the most important thing, rather than having a huge storage, it is that the amount of data that can be pumped out or pumping into the system. Means whether you are able to write it as a fast storage or write it. Just say, for example, if you go and buy SanDisk SSD, external SSD. So the rate of that external SSD is based on the amount of data they are able to write or read, the speed at which they are able to write it. That's why the rate increases. Here also, the overall idea is that they should be able to pump out or pump in huge amount of data in terms of GBPS, not Mbps. That should be in the terms of GBPS. आपका फोन? Yes. GBPS. That should be okay. A storage area network. A storage area network or SAN or storage network is a computer network which provides access to consolidated block level data storage. Now, this is the difference between a storage area network and a network attached storage. Normally, then SAN, the storage is basically at the block level. Okay. SAN are primarily used to access data storage devices such as disk array and tape libraries from the server so that the device appears to be operating directly as a direct attached storage. So basically, when you are using SAN, you are actually front-ending. There is a front-ending server. सर्वर से कनेक्ट करने के बाद आप बैक टू बैक आप स्टोरेज को कनेक्ट करते हैं. ओके. SAN typically is a dedicated network of storage device not accessible through the local area network. So it is not accessible through the local area network. Rather, it goes via server to the system. So let us see the architecture of the SAN. So this is basically the storage area network. You have a pool of server and you have a SAN system here. And this is a SAN switch. A client who is from the LAN, this is basically LAN, it is not shown here, but you will find it in the presentation, will actually forward a request. Now, if the data is there in the server, it will be forwarded from the server, or if the data is there in the SAN, it will be forwarded from the SAN. So the application which you are doing is actually stored in the server, and server is actually front-ending the data requirement for the SAN. And now this SAN switch is basically a device which is actually connected to the server through an HBA card, host bus adapter, HBA. So HBA card is something like a sort of thing costing around 70 to 80,000 rupees. Put it inside a server. That what is PCI Express slot, and that is connected into that system. And there will be all optical fiber connectivity between the SAN switch and the HBA card. So HBA card is a part of the interface of the server. Okay. Network attached storage. Network attached storage is a file level opposed to the block level storage. Okay. File level computer data storage server connected to the computer network, providing data access to the client system. Now, the file system and other thing which is there in the server in case of the SAN, which is actually pumping the data in form of blocks to the actual storage area network, has to be now incorporated for the NAS in its system. Are you getting the point? Because the server in the SAN, the server is front-ending the storage. But here there is no server to front-end. Directly you are able to communicate with the storage system, that is network attached storage. Okay. NAS is specialized for serving files either by its hardware or software of the configuration. The schematic diagram is given in the next part of this. So we have a NAS like this in our system, and definitely the vendor has installed it, but actually it was under my supervision. I can assure you, I know, and there are basically two VLANs that are working. One is the storage management VLAN, another one is the storage data VLAN. Now, storage management VLAN is actually working for the security and services of the storage. Storage data VLAN is being used by the end user who are keeping data in the storage. So for example, as a PhD student, if somebody is allocated some space in the storage, he will be using that part. But as a system administrator, only the storage management VLAN is used by the system administrator or entity. Now, from the core switch, You can see here, this is the network attached storage. Now this is a MSA, modular storage array. Now modular storage array is again storing the data on its own. Now anything which can be stored in form of a file, anything which can be stored in form of a file can be used to store in the network attached storage. And network attached storage is not dependent on any other server to store, because it is having its own system. Now this network attached storage is basically a Microsoft based system. Okay, so what we have here basically, what are the components we have in the storage? Okay, so we have basically file controller system. Okay, we have the backup application server and Active Directory, and we have D2D disk-to-D storage, which is a secondary storage. Sir, इसको थोड़ा देखिए. It's a very beautiful thing. Okay. Now the L2 managed switch. Okay, the L2 managed switch, or you can have an L3 switch also, but it's a high capacity switch. Okay. Is being connected from the core switch of the network. From our core switch, a separate two set of optical fibers are forwarded to connect it to this switch, carrying the data of two VLAN: storage data VLAN and storage management VLAN. Okay. Now, this backup server or backup application server is not a server which is keeping backup. It's a very awkward statement I have given to you. Backup application server and Active Directory is not a server which is keeping the backup. Actually, the backup is kept in this D2D. But this application server is running the routine, backup routine, as well as Active Directory for storing the backup in the D2D. It's a very small server. Small server is in terms of that it is huge. It is a huge server in terms of normal server, but I am saying compared to this capacity, it's a very small server. It is one rack server. But its job is to, and actually it operates on it has got three activities. One is backup application. Second one is the Active Directory for security purpose. The third one is running the deduplication algorithm. Now the question arises, what is the deduplication algorithm? See, try to understand, you are making your video, and in the front part of the video and in the last part of the video, there are certain frames which are common. Say for example, institute name, the name of the principal, then the team or video team people, like who is the cameraman, who is the audio person, and all those things. These are common. So what this do, this deduplication algorithm, it finds out each and every component of that file which is duplicated, and it deduplicates it.
So how can you decide that it should be duplicated or not?
Pardon? What is your question?
So how can you decide that it should be duplicated or not?
No. It does the work of deduplication. It is decided that it will deduplicate, and it compresses the space. जो कॉमन फ्रेम्स या कॉमन जो डेटा है उसको डीडुप्लीकेशन कर देता है, and the ratio is 3.5:1. Say, why I am saying this, in the modular storage, in the file controller and MSA, if you have 15 GB of data or 16 GB of data, or maybe 20 GB of data, in the D2D storage it becomes 3.5 GB. It compresses by deduplication algorithm. Got the point? So now these two file controller, it is actually, again these are also servers, file controllers, but these are not actually storing the data. These are again running those algorithms how to store the data in the primary device of the storage, which is the modular storage array. Now these are scalable in nature. What do you mean by scalability is that you can keep on adding disk. Okay, you can keep on adding the arrays also, array of storage also. You can, so array of storage, matlab server type दिखता है basically. Those are basically where you can keep on adding disk onto that. And it keeps it in the form of RAID, redundant array of inexpensive disks. It does RAID 10 or like that for that purpose. Depending on the technology what you are using. So we have two file controllers, FC1 and FC2, and we have, as of now in our system, we have three modular storage array. One is keeping in A, one is keeping as B, and the third one is keeping both of A and B. So that is basically the three has been put into a group, added, and then divided with mirrored disk. Okay. Now there is a point. That the point is that is it that the hard disk what happened if the hard disk is crashed? It crashes. It crashes. Not only the hard disk crashes in the modular storage array, but it also crashes in the D2D. But the thing is that once the hard disk get crashed, क्योंकि देखिए चल रहा 5 साल 10 साल चलेगा तो हार्ड डिस्क को क्रैश करेगा. So simply you have to take out that hard disk and put a new hard disk. And within 24 hours to 48 hours it will recover. It's automatically.
You don't have to command it.
No, nothing. There is no human intervention in that. It's automatically does that. The criteria is that you can change a hard disk and you can have a higher capacity disk also. But the only problem is that it should match with the voltage and the ampere of the system. If the hard disk doesn't match in terms of voltage or ampere, then it will be a problem. Say suppose you have 8 TB of one hard disk. Now 8 TB is not available in the market. Because which time? Now 10 TB is available. You can put 10 TB. Because the size is same, the interface is same, and they are all hot swappable. You can take out, just चलते हुए आप खींच के निकाल दीजिए, एक डाल दीजिए. Only thing is that you require 24 to 48 hours, depending on the capacity of that hard disk, to recover that. So recovery, disaster recovery and continuity, automatic. ये human intervention नहीं है इसमें. Okay. Now, the Active Directory. What is the role of the Active Directory here? For if you see the modular storage array in the file controller system, you have created, suppose, zones, or you can say you have created folders. Okay. Now, suppose there is a storage. Suppose BPUT has set up a storage. Let us take an example like this. Suppose BPUT has set up a big storage where all institute is being given some space. Now inside institute, now IMIT is one of the institute. Inside IMIT there are some departments. So each department has been given another subspace of that. Now inside department there are faculty members who has got some storage in that. So here in this Active Directory, the area which has to be mapped, okay, that is, yesterday I taught about that now, role-based access control, RBAC. Yesterday I was also talking to Dr. Sadhu Prasad. He actually was with Amazon, so we were discussing that. That role-based access control, it is not only Azure, it has got also in the Amazon or Google Cloud or software. So basically, role-based access control has to be incorporated in the Active Directory of it. How come? The principal has the control of the entire IMIT. Professor Jayasingh, being the head of the Department of Computer Science or Computer Application, what department you have, he has the control of that section. And then each teacher has a control of their area. So it's a role-based access control system has been given, and that is the job of the Active Directory for this purpose. So you can see that the security of the storage is being incorporated again by that Active Directory. So when you talk about the cyber security, the foremost thing is identity and access management. It's the role-based access control, RBAC. Okay. So we have network attached storage. File controller provides file management with client. Modular storage array, primary storage in form of files. Backup application server run backup application on disk-to-disk storage, that is the secondary storage, and Active Directory. It also runs deduplication application. So it has got three jobs. Okay. Now coming to that D2D storage, it's a secondary storage on incremental as well as fresh backup. Now, what is the incremental backup? Incremental backup means, or say, I have set my system, my backup application server, to take backup on every midnight between 12 midnight to 3 a.m. So, previous day, that means say on 24, whatever changes has happened, that incremental backup part, added part or modified part or changed part or deleted part will be stored in the backup, which is an incremental backup. Now this is in somehow different from the syncing what you have for your Google Drive. This is not syncing. That's an every day there is an incremental backup. You are getting my point?
So then the storage will be filled up, right?
Correct. You are right. Then the storage will be filled up. So storage is there to fill up. The storage is there to fill up. That's why I said this is the modular storage array. They are scalable in nature. This modular storage array, they are scalable in nature. The D2D is also scalable in nature. Now, scalability is in terms of two types. One is you can put another module and attach to it, or else you can put more hard disk on the same module. It's not that all the slots are all filled up on the day one. Say, for example, as IMIT, you start with 100 TB of storage. You start with 100 TB of storage. After 5 years, you find that your 100 TB is full. Now you go for another 100 TB of storage. Or else you go for a new storage with say 400 TB. Now in that case, the data migration has to be done from the old storage to the new storage. Data migration, you understand? Taking every data from the old one to store it in the. So this is the storage or the system. Security of the storage system. Security of the storage devices are managed by the joint effort of the Active Directory as well as client. The file controller will only allow to connect somebody if it is through role-based access control, RBAC. Coming back to the same thing, RBAC. Disk-to-disk storage provides backup and recovery as well as disaster management and continuity plan. The AD maps a particular user to the folder or file or user area. AD is basically an IDM of the entire system, identity and access management. Somebody say I am, or somebody say IDA. Okay. So this is basically this. You understand the storage system. Now, if you have any question, you can definitely ask that question.
Sir, what is the data backup?
incremental data backup. Okay, very good question. Say today you are keeping the attendance of the
100 students.
100 students. Okay. So till today you, and suppose your session starts on 1st January. So on the first, from 1st January to 24th of January there is a data. Now 25th is a Sunday, 26th is another holiday. On 27th again you will have an attendance. So you put it in the storage. Now what happened? The storage will go, and up to that point, up to 24, up to that point of time, the data has been taken back up. Now for the 27th day, whatever attendance is there for this 500 students will be updated. This is incremental backup. But the question arises, what is the fresh backup compared to that? So for the entire 1 year, you have kept everyday incremental backup. Now you set a policy that I will keep backup year-wise. So on the 1st January 2027, next year, there will be a fresh backup which will be started. Let me show you in this manner. Then you will be able to understand. So from 1st January 2026, you started backup. So every day you are keeping a backup like this. It is incremental. Okay. Now, then at say 31st December, you have entered this backup. Now from the 1st January 27, you start another backup. This is a fresh backup. That's the difference between an incremental backup and a fresh backup. And it is not synced. That today if you delete something, here it will not be a change. It's not syncing. What you do in your Google Drive is a syncing. So any other question?
So what is item?
Identity and access management. Yesterday we were there? No. Yesterday we talked about that. Identity and access management. Means you have an identity. Okay. Now you have an identity. You say, suppose what is your name?
Saurabh.
Saurabh. So suppose Saurabh, what is your full name? Saurabh?
Saurabh Ranjan Rao.
Saurabh Ranjan Rao. So you have an email ID like ssrout@imit.ac.in. Suppose you have a email. You are working here. So this SS route is the identity. Now suppose you are working as a technical assistant in the computer science. That means you should be allowed to access all the files related to the computer science. So your SS route will be mapped with all the files of the CSE. Now tomorrow if you have been transferred to some other institute or some other department, then so this is called provisioning. When you get transferred to some department, some resources you have been provisioned. Now when you move from one department to another department, from the existing department there will be a deprovision. आपसे वो revoke कर दिया जाएगा. And new permissions will be given. Now who gives you that? Your manager or your reporting officer. Suppose your HOD is your manager. Managers. So this is IDEM. IDEM has two components: identity management. So your creation of the identity, updation of the identity, deletion of the identity is required. This is one part. And the access management, the role assigned. So identity management works with the identity management works with the role, and access management works with the role. That this person should be connected to this service. So this is called ID, identity and access. Okay. So now we will be going to the cloud security, the final part. Okay. So every material is now actually uploaded. You can see Google Classroom, every material is uploaded. So coming to the basics of the cloud security. Okay. Basic concepts of the security. The fundamental terms related to the security are as follows. We have confidentiality. Again, coming to the same thing. Okay. Integrity, availability, authentication, vulnerability, threat, risk, security control, security mechanism, security policy. These are the fundamental terms that is related to the security. So, confidentiality. When a sender sends an information to the B, a legitimate receiver, then confidential is specified that only the sender A and the receiver B should have an access to the content. When there is a loss of confidentiality, when a message is sent by sender to sender B and is intercepted by a malicious user C, then there is a loss of confidentiality, and this type of attack is known as interception. You intercept it. Okay. Integrity. When a message sent by a sender A reaches recipient B without any modification, then we can say that the integrity of the message during the transmission is intact. Okay. If what happens when the integrity is lost? When a message sent by sender A to sender B and is intercepted by a malicious user, see, पहले intercept करेगा. First it will intercept and then the content of the message are changed and forwarded. Then there is a loss of the integrity, and this type of attack is known as modification. Availability. When a resource or resources are available to an authorized entity, say to be a person or an application, we say that it follows the principle of availability. But what happened? When principle of availability is defeated, when a resource, whether a system, data, or an application, becomes unavailable due to unauthorized or malicious user or system, then it is said that the principle of availability is defeated. This type of attack is known as interruption. Interrupt हो गया. What is authenticity? When a document containing data or information is provided by an authorized entity, then we say that the authenticity of the resource or the resources are intact. That means I should be able to understand that Raghunath has given that document. Okay. In case the authenticity of the document or information is established, then it is non-repudiation in nature. Later, Raghunath cannot deny that he has not sent me the file. Okay. Vulnerability. Vulnerabilities are loopholes or weaknesses that can be exploited by a threat to launch an attack. Vulnerabilities can be of various types, such as configuration deficiency, or a weak security policy, or a software bug that can be responsible for that. Threat. A threat is a potential security breach or a violation that challenges the confidentiality, integrity, availability, or authenticity of any information, or loss of privacy or loss of personal identifiable information. Threats can be manually or automatically originated or activated to exploit a vulnerability. So there can be a DOS attack, manually you can hit it. There can be an automated DOS from various locations, we say distributed denial of service attack. So that's an automated attack. is risk? The potential for loss, damage, or destruction of an asset as a result of the threat exploiting one. What is an asset? A data is an asset. An application is an asset. An IT resource is an asset. This computer is an asset. Your server is an asset. So these all are assets. Two metrics can be used to determine the risk. The probability of a threat occurring to exploit vulnerability in the IT resource. This is one method of estimating the risk. Or the second is the expected loss in terms of social status, that is the reputation, or financial upon compromising the resource. Security control. The security controls are countermeasures. Countermeasures means what you take to protect, used to prevent or respond to the threat and to reduce or avoid risk. Security controls may be implemented using various security attributes, which are basically a set of rules or practices specifying how to implement a security measure in order to reduce the risk of a compromised resource and protect the system. What is security mechanism? Security mechanism measures. Security measures are the countermeasures that are typically described in terms of a defensive framework to protect the IT resource, data and information and its related service. That's why security mechanism can be jotted down using the security policy that can be implemented across an organization. Coming to that, what is security policy? A security policy establishes a set of rules and regulations that can be implemented across the organization in order to protect the IT resource and to reduce the risk of being compromised. Security policies are also state that how these rules and regulations are implemented and enforced, and also provide a mechanism of augmenting them with time. ऐसा बना दिया बाद में घोड़ा बेच के सो गया ऐसा नहीं. Every time you have to update. Say for example, the security policy in our organization may be to protect the IT resource, including application and data, and the P2P protocol cannot be used inside the organization. This is a policy. Coming to the threat agents. An entity that is capable of carrying out an attack is known as threat agent. These entities can be residing internally inside a cloud environment or may be carrying out an attack from an external location. These agents can be an authorized program or human being devising an attack on an IT resource. These threat agents exploit the vulnerability to initiate the attack. The various types of threat agents are given in the next slide. Anonymous attacker, malicious service agent, trusted attackers, and malicious insider. See here, who are they? Anonymous attacker. An anonymous attacker is a non-trusted cloud service consumer without permission in the cloud. It is sitting inside the cloud without the permission of the cloud. चोरी से चला गया. Okay. It typically exists as an external software program that launches network level attack through the public networks. Now, because it's an anonymous, the problem is that it is very difficult to detect it. An anonymous attacker is also committing acts like bypassing user account or stealing user credentials to enter into a cloud system. अभी problem क्या है? What is the problem? At times, we don't typically delete the accounts which are not required. Now, they use this to find out which are the accounts which are dormant accounts and use it to handle it, attack it. Malicious service agent. A malicious service agent is also capable to intercept and forward the network traffic that flow within a cloud. Stop करेंगे, modify करेंगे, send करेंगे. It typically exists as a service agent with compromised or malicious logic. It may also exist as an external program able to remotely intercept and corrupt message contents. It's a modification attack. Okay. Trusted attackers. The trusted attackers share its resource in the same cloud environment as the cloud consumer and attempt to exploit legitimate credentials to target cloud providers and the cloud tenants with whom they share the IT resources. Now, who are the cloud tenants and who are the cloud providers? Okay, here you have to understand who is a cloud provider. Amazon is a cloud provider. Okay, who is a cloud tenant? Say for example, suppose a particular site, government site is there in the cloud, which is in the Amazon. Okay. So the organization that is providing that service to the common people through the cloud is a cloud service provider. Try to understand this. There is a difference between cloud provider and cloud service provider. Cloud provider is, suppose I set up a cloud system, public cloud system, then I am a cloud provider. And as Raghunath is going to implement Odisha joint entrance examination form fill up in the cloud. So you are the cloud service provider. Who is the cloud consumer? He want to apply for an exam and he want to apply through that cloud service. You are a cloud consumer. You got the point? Now क्या होगा इसका?
सर नेटवर्क
हाँ?
नेटवर्क इश्यूज
Network is there?
Yes, sir, it's there.
So it is not there. Network नहीं है तो why you just take an IMID? No, you should take TP.
उसको लाइव
I think you can see this, no? So I can keep a watch on the network, that's why. Okay, you can see this. I think 4 people. Now the trusted attacker share the resources in the same cloud environment as the cloud consumer and attempt to exploit legitimate credentials to target cloud provider and the cloud tenants with whom they share IT resources. Unlike anonymous attacker, trusted attacker usually launch their attack within cloud trust form. That's the problem. Malicious insider. A malicious insiders are human threat agents acting on behalf of or in relation with the cloud provider. They are typically current or former employee or third party with access to the cloud service provider. This type of threat agents carries tremendous damage potential as the malicious insider may have administrative privilege for accessing cloud consumer IT resources. Cloud security threats. What are cloud security threats? Traffic keeps stopping. Okay. Malicious intermediary. Denial of service, insufficient authorization, virtual attack, and overlapping trust boundaries. Why? What are these? Let me. Whenever from one resources or one application in the cloud to another application, when the traffic is moving, some of the malicious insider or the anonymous attacker, they are listening to that traffic eavesdropping, listening to that traffic, and they try to get the credential out of that. Okay. Malicious intermediary. So from one application to another application, when some of the agent or some of the applications or some of the resources which are transferring the data, in between they are trying to grab that. They are actually, in that case, the confidentiality of the data is lost. The malicious intermediary, that means an intermediate program, do interception. It was not supposed to look into the data. Maybe that there is a routine which is going to take the data from one application to another application, but it is some malicious threat agent get attached with that intermediary, and this becomes a malicious intermediary. At times there will be denial of service from the cloud. This is another threat. Insufficient authorization. See, cloud is believing, because in cloud service, nobody is entering from the inside network. It is always through the public network. So if there is insufficient authorization, somehow the authorization is being bypassed, then in that case, the chances of getting threat or the chances of threat attacking on a particular resource increases. So that's why you find that on SBI, when you go to SBI, for every transaction they do, the single window operator or the officer who is sitting on that counter has to always give his biometric authentication. Because of the reason is that it is on the cloud service, and insufficient authorization will lead to that kind of attack. Then it is virtualization attack. Virtualization attack means that you actually don't feel that there has been an attack, but it has been created from a virtual resource and it has been generated. And actually the person who are looking into the system will not be able to understand that there has been an attack unless and until that has been compromised and a huge loss has occurred to the system. An overlapping trust boundary. Now the problem is that when there are multiple applications that are running on the cloud and the users are basically connecting the cloud through virtual desktop environment, from one application to another application, one particular desktop environment has to be having trust on those multiple applications. So there is an overlapping trust boundary. Now, when I am talking of the additional consideration, now coming to the cloud security, there has been a paradigm shift from the in-premise application-based security to the cloud security. Now you will raise a question, what is the difference here? See, whatever security consideration, security implementation that has been there in the cloud, that has to be in toto or in compliance with the cloud provider and cloud service provider. I use the word cloud service provider and cloud provider. That has to be in compliance with the cloud provider or cloud service provider. Now, here, whatever you are doing, there may be a difference in the implementation in the cloud environment. So there may be a fraud environment. And the second one is the security policy disparity. What security policies you have followed in your in-premise system, when you migrate those system or those applications to the cloud, you will find that that is very difficult to implement. because you have to be in compliance with the cloud service provider or cloud providers. So under these circumstances, there will be a security policy disparity. Then we have contracts and we have to manage the risk. Now here comes your again posture management. Yesterday's picture you have seen. So that has to be taken care by the posture management. So about the risk management, you have to take into account the posture management system. So with this, we come to the end of this training program. Something I have been able to show you on hands-on. Time is very limited, so I will always. I can assure you that if you require my help in future, you can definitely call me.
The new campus started because they supposed to.
So with new campus, you can call me.
Also, if I have some internship programs, some of the students.
Network lab, we have a very good networking lab with many equipment. IDEM implementation, I can show you. I can show you Wi-Fi connectivity. I can show you every sort of things. And some part I have shown you, like configuring a switch, creating a VLAN, those things. Policies you can set in your firewalls, that also. So this I can assure you, and this is up to the point in this course. At 2 o'clock, I have a small 10 question MCQ. I will request all the registered participants to please complete this because I need to submit that, without which they will not issue certificates.
Shall you do that in Google Form or PC?
Google Form. Through this classroom. Google Form. So, it is there.
Okay, let us I have also.
Yes. So with this, I hope we can come to this. Stop this. Okay. Or else, if you have any question, you can ask.
Any more question?
So may I have a question about operating system?
Yes.
So which operating system is more secure?
No, you cannot say like that. That every operating system is more secure. See, every operating system is secure. But the thing is that how much you are actually as a user, how much you are actually looking into that, careful about that, your system. For example, whether you are upgrading your patches in the system or not properly, whether you are keeping your firewall on all the time or not, whether you are upgrading your antivirus system or not, whether you are following the good security practices or not. It's not that you say that Linux is good or Windows is bad. No, it's not like that. See, we are using storage in the Windows system. We are using, say, IDEM in our Cisco system. So, these are all, see, role-based, whether your organization is using a role-based access controller.
So, sir, can I say that which operating system is prone to attack? Prone to be attacked?
I shall say one thing to you, that we have some, what's that, idea in the back of our minds, impression, I can say, which is not correct. Now say here, in the storage system, we use a VM software for reduplication algorithm, backup running and everything. Now VM itself is basically a very good software. Now if we And the VM also has a 5-year subscription for that. When you procure the storage, you procure 5-year subscription for the storage. So every security loopholes or security patches which is coming up, they are uploading in the system. They are upgrading that system. See, it's a game of chore police, you understand? So you have to have your security. Now, this actually add cost to your system. I agree with that. कभी कोई बोलता है कोई जरूरत नहीं है, no requirement is there. अरे, it's not like that. You have to have antivirus system, you have to have firewall, you have to have, and आपने firewall खरीद लिया बाद में उसको upgrade नहीं किया, subscription खत्म हो गया तो कोई काम का नहीं. You have to do it. You have to every time you have to upgrade it.
About the firewall, Windows have Windows firewall system.
Windows have firewall system.
So if we try to use Linux while uninstalling Windows,
Ah.
firewall will still be active. Or
Yeah, because if you are installing a Linux, like you are actually running a Linux software inside a Windows software, still the firewall will be there.
will uninstall Windows and install Linux software.
So then Linux will have their own firewalling system. It's not that only Windows have firewall. Linux will have all firewalling system. See, the main point is that what kind of services you are opening up in the network. Which port you are opening up. That's the most important thing. See, I am repeatedly saying that cyber security or network security is not a course or not a system where some angel from heaven परी आएगी स्वर्ग से और जादू की छड़ी घुमा देगी और हमारा सिस्टम ये हो जाएगा. It is actually step-by-step implementation of the network in the secured environment through security policy framework. And you have to communicate with all stakeholders for making the system secure. Even the students, you have to make the students also feel that yeah, they are secure. They have to accept the system. Every stakeholder has a role to make the system secure. It's not that only the administrator will do. No. Got the point? So I can stop this here. I can end this stream.